What if I told you that back in Victorian days, grave robbing, or digging up freshly dug graves to remove bodies, was very common? Back in those days, doctors and medical students didn't have the kinds of resources that we have today. So things like medical textbooks and anatomical charts and the general medical knowledge that we use and kind of take for granted these days, WebMD, none of that existed. So in order to become a good doctor or to be a good med student, they had to find something to study. So they would turn to cadavers or corpses of deceased loved ones in cemeteries. However, the Victorians believed that cutting up a body that had died would prevent you from entering heaven. So they would bury their loved ones whole and not perform any kind of autopsy, no dissection. So this was all very sketchy, done under cover of darkness by those body snatchers that were called resurrectionists. They would come to a cemetery at night, dig up a tunnel to the coffin, maybe cut a hole in the end of the coffin where they could tie a rope around the body and pull it out. Then the body could be studied, and the scientists, the doctors, and students could learn more. Of course, the family members did not want their loved ones to go through this, and they wanted them to be able to enter heaven, so they would take measures to prevent this from happening. They would take a coffin and layer a wooden plank at the bottom with a metal collar, and they would nail that to the bottom and secure their loved one into the coffin before burial. So then if they were tunneled to and with a rope tied around, they wouldn't be able to pull them out. So they would remain in their resting place, and they would remain in heaven. If you were very wealthy, you might resurrect an iron fence around the burial plot, or even a small stone cottage, and hire maybe some guards to keep an eye on your loved one until the point where their body was no longer at a point where it could really be used and learned from for science. Because this was so common, a lot of authors of the day used these types of stories to write books and stories about grave robbing, but a lot of it did take place. Luckily for the folks buried here at Oakwood, that was not the case. There's no evidence of anyone in Oakwood having been dug up once they were laid to rest. So, to end a very heavy subject, I have a little poem for you. Don't go to weep upon my grave and think that I'll be there, or there I'll be. They haven't left an atom there of my anatomy. The body snatchers, they have come and made a snatch at me. It's very hard, them kind of men won't let a body be.